This is Fatima Diallo, the founder and CEO of Mina, a marketing, event management, and a PR agency located at the Tropic Mall here in the Gambia. Fatima was born and raised in the Gambia, but she left for the US with her family when she was like 18 years old. And after spending nearly 2 decades in the US, she decided to come back to the Gambia to start a business.
So I grew up here in Banjul, Stalin Street. I was there until I think 6-7 years old. Okay. Then my family moved to Bundung. We were there until I think I was like 8 years old, okay. 9, then we went to Dipakunda, so we were around for a little bit. Yeah. But growing up in Gambia was really interesting. A lot happened here. I remember my childhood here. But within that time, I learned to grow really fast because my mom traveled to the US in 1997, really early. Mm-hmm. I believe I was like 11 years old, so I'm kind of giving away my age already. So yeah, it was really a journey being here. I grew up with my dad, so I'm like, at that time I was a daddy's girl.
So you left Gambia when you were 11?
No, we left Gambia in 2004.
2004. Okay.
Yeah, 2004. Don't count the numbers on the age. Well, I'm 36. I'm very proud of that. So yeah, we left at in 2004. Went to the US. My mom took us all. Really a phenomenal woman, I have to say. So I went to finish my high school in the US, okay. Monroe High. So part of my childhood, then I grew up in the US. I studied business administration management, even though my mom was against it at some point, because he was like, we are Fula, you know? Fula people know business, so why do you have to study business? I was like, because I don't want to fail. You know, I want to be able to pull myself back up when I'm struggling in business. Though, you know, many of my family members were able to maneuver without even education in business, because I guess it's part of them. But studying business also is the reason I'm actually here with this business now. Okay. Yeah.
But why did you decide to come back to Gambia? Like most of us here, we are trying to leave Gambia. You are coming back here. Why?
You know, coming back to Gambia, I felt like it was a calling for me, to be honest, because it's hard to just get up and leave everything you know. Like I mentioned, I grew up in the US. I did my high school, finished, did my university in the US. I did work for many organizations, including political organizations, political leaders. I did many campaign organizing as well, canvassing, you name it, like PR for, let's say, NGOs. I did a lot of work there. And to be honest, being young, I was given the opportunity because I founded this pageant named Miss Guinea USA for 10 years running it. Within the 10 years, I had so many mentors, many leaders who believed in me, who felt like if I could do a pageant in that caliber, a pageant that was able to host 1,000 Africans, not only Guineans, but different ethnicities, different backgrounds, people from like Cameroon, Nigeria, Senegal, people that later on started their own pageant, where I was able to mentor and be one of the judges sometimes. Even Miss Gambia started then, Miss Gambia pageant, which was really great. And I was one of the first judges at the Miss Gambia pageant, which was organized by the Gambia Youth Association leader, Mr. Mamadou Sawane, who I respect very much. But then coming back, when I came in 2019, I came for negotiation. I came here to help consult with a company to help them with their partners. But I was supposed to be here from January to February and go back. So I came back with my daughter. I was like, okay, let me just pack up a little more clothes and just come. To be honest, I ran out of clothes because I stayed until June. Wow. You know, so I ran out. Like, I was like, okay, this is not nice. You know, I started wearing my one garambubu or 2 of them that I had. So, you know, and my daughter was like, okay, when are we going to go back, mommy? We got to go. I enrolled her in school. I didn't want her to lose time. But for some reason, after going to Gaipa, talking to Uncle Drame, Mamadou Drame, who was there, I was like, I want to do something here. I had to do something in Gambia. He said to me, you have been doing events and a lot of PR, and why don't you do event management? Event management, if anyone pays me for event management, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to be happy doing it, because I was like, you sure? Then I did my research and I realized it was needed. But the kind of event management now was that how am I going to do it? Which area am I going to get in? How am I going to get in? I need to do my research. I don't want to come in and I'm competing anybody. I want to come in and be different. So that's when the company was born. But at that time it was Event Hawks. That was the name of the company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I went back, by the way. I went back to the US for 7 months.
Okay.
They almost thought I disappeared. I was not going to come back.
So you went back to the US is it to plan or?
Yeah, exactly. I went to plan. Okay. I went to work really, really hard. Pack up a lot of stuff, stock up. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to come back and have only 2 ngarabubu anymore and I'm going to worry about food or this and that. I had to pack and make sure that my daughter, especially my daughter, she needed to be comfortable. Yeah. Well, mind you, it was just me. My family were in the US still. It's just me in the country. Obviously, I do have family members, distant family members or extended family. But when you are out of this country for so long, you're alone for a bit. Okay, so in the beginning, when you were starting this Event Hawks, what were the challenges you faced and the struggles when you were starting out? So I had conversation with people. For example, one of them is Ibrahim Cham. Okay. Ibrahim he works at GRTS. So when I had a conversation with him, because my sister connected me back with Ibrahim. Ibrahim is a childhood friend. I knew him for like 20 years now. We spoke and I said, you know what, I want to start event management company, but also PR. Because event management, there are many event planning companies. What makes you different? But then I started being interested. I wanted to know what event planning means in Gambia, what event management meant in Gambia. But every time I ask questions, because every time you do anything, any business, you have to make your research. If you don't, then why get into it? Yeah. You have to understand why you're actually getting into the market, or if there's a need for you to get into the market. I guess that's for advice for any entrepreneur. Yeah. So when I contacted people asking questions, they said event planning, they come and do decoration, and then plan the event and then hand it over. Majority of the time, the catering and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's nice. And I kept asking, it's the same thing, the same answer. Most of the time, decoration. The same things. Decorations, or it's not really, I don't want to be as anybody. I'm just saying that my idea of event management was different from what I have heard or what I have seen so at that time. And I decided also with Alaji Manka, a very good friend of mine. State of Mike. Yeah, State of Mike, exactly. Shout out to you. So we went to attend 2 events. He wanted to show me what event management was in Gambia. We went to the IMF event. At that time, it was a big conference that was happening in 2019. And then I attended another event, I think GWCC, that I attended on my own, just to understand. So I asked and I said I wanted to volunteer. I ended up helping out with the stage, working with the stage. Then I realized that event management was actually needed. So when I say event management, we're talking about from the planning, the organizing, the coordinating, to managing, rather than we don't leave until the event is done. It's finished. Everything, including the program. If you have to, we also work on program guides for our clients. Everything, like what's going to be said from the beginning. Sorry, who's going to speak from the beginning to the end. If we need to bring your host, we do the same thing. All the vendors, we coordinate everything, so you don't have to worry about nothing. Yes, research, like she mentioned. Before you go into any new market, make sure you do your research. You know what's lacking, what is your competition, the people that you're trying to compete. What are they doing wrong, what needs to be improved, things like that. Because chances are your competition, they've already established themselves, they have their client base, they have everything. So when you come into that new market doing the same thing that they've been doing, like you don't expect to win in that niche. You don't expect, let's say, their clients or anything people to come to you, because there's no need for you to come in. But when you come in with improvements, innovations, and being different, obviously now you'll stand a chance to compete, because you have that competitive advantage and you came up with something that your competition is lacking or they're not doing, and you improved on that. That is how you thrive in a new market. It is important to do that market research before you jump into any new market. And also part of research, like she mentioned, she volunteered. She went around and volunteered for different events, and that's how you learned. Because obviously the way event management is done in US and Gambia, they are similar, but there'll be some differences. So you'll have to learn the Gambian market, how it is done, and
and things that needs to be improved, and that's exactly what she did. And another thing is, I've observed that most of the CEOs, when you ask them, it's like, I was in the US, I was in the UK, so that it means that, boy, we all have to go. Based Gambians, we have to go and come back. And also the Gambians in abroad, I encourage them to come back, to start something here, because when you come, you are fresh, you are from the US, or you've spent some time there. When you come back to the Gambia, you see like lots of opportunities here. There are opportunities, but Sophia, when you've been here for long, boy, like Sahed bit of a block, you don't see anything. You're because the stress and everything, the frustrations, the corruption and everything, you don't see anything, boy. You're just pissed. But once you go out, you are exposed to different lifestyles, different cultures. The moment you come back to Gambia, like somebody that they ubeko, you see opportunities, you see different things. So that is why I encourage, the Gambians in abroad to, come and see, what lan la gay muna def, understand? And for ñun tamit ñom na gay ñew, let them come, and ñun will also go, you understand? ñun tamit will go and spend some time there and come back, like that. Yeah, but by any means, so if you have the chance, but always, boy, do more work can, boy, talk Gambia, but do more advice can, always, so I make chance, you have the chance, boy, go. You understand? Yeah, learn, improve, develop yourself, and obviously come back, because, you're going to develop Gambia, you understand? Yeah.
For example, Air France was one of the events that we did. One of the first event. CA also gave us an event. That was the first one we did, and then Air France. Then we had the Tropic luncheon. The Tropic luncheon, the client was really stressed. They know. And then we had to speak to them and say, hey, just relax, sit down, don't do nothing, just trust us with this. And that's what happened. We did everything from the beginning to the end. And that for us was one of the greatest experience and one of the biggest event that we had, because it was right outside our our office space. Then after that we had the Bluefin, we had the Phenomenal Woman.
I think it's IMF as well, is it?
IMF, exactly. Guess what? IMF I went to in 2019, right? Then IMF came back to be a client.
Exactly. Yeah.
So everything comes back to like the determination, the dedication, what your plans are. Do you have a purpose? What's the purpose of what you're doing? So never do what everyone else is doing.
Like be different.
Be different. That's the idea. The idea is you're innovative enough. If you sit down and really think, and don't be in a hurry to establish anything. Don't be in a hurry to make things happen.
Like take your time with it.
Because if you take your time, you will get there eventually. And then, so I mentioned the Phenomenal Woman. For me, that's another one, because she's a woman like us, like me, and majority of our staffs are women too.
Yeah.
But that was the first time you have a woman gym in the country. And then you had Bluefin, that's also owned by a woman, and that's the first time you have a woman Gambian owning a fish factory. So we're making history with people who are making history. And then we had the unique group event at Nyamina that took us all the way to Basse. So those are amazing experiences that we had. Sometimes money will not pay you for that experience. It's not always about the money. I think it's about what you're given, because the money will come as your credibility builds. And I believe that so far we are building credibility, and we continue to build. And never be satisfied too. Because many people are always like satisfied. They're like, you're doing great. Oh my God, you guys are amazing. Then they relax. And you can never settle for less. Like you always want to be the best in what you do. You want to be innovative. Because at the end of the day, think about it. Competition is always going to come around.
Yeah, facts.
So if you're slacking behind and you relax and you think you got it all together, someone else is going to come and do even way better. Because you already gave the idea. So if you give an idea, make sure you surpass the next idea. Make sure you innovate another one. Because while they're coming, you're already going. That's a business tactic.
It's powerful. Yeah. So much lessons. Like, what advice do you have for people out there, especially like, let's say, people that leave Gambia to go abroad and study? Some of them don't even plan on coming back to Gambia. What advice do you have for people like that? I
remember in 2019, again, the time I came, there's a friend of mine. He knows himself, but he's in the US. He's like a Liberian friend, very close friend. We did a lot of campaigns together in the US. Right now he's a politician. He said to me when he called, he said, Fatima, why Africa? Africa is not the future. This is the future for us right now, meaning in the US. Obviously in the Bronx that time, Africans are needed in leadership, you know, because we were already paving the way to make sure that Africans become like a voice in Albany. Before I left, we were able to elect assemblyman who is Charles Farr. I was able to help out in that coordination. I was able to help out in that fundraisers, raising money, also PR and marketing. So with that, he was the first assemblyman, young, and he was only 30 years old, to be elected in office at Staten Island Assembly. So, and then he said to me when he called me, I remember that was in April 2019. I was here already, I think, about 3 months or 4 months. He said, Fatima, you have a future here. When you come back, you can become one of the officials if you want to. That he was right, because in many ways I was like a young, not only young person, but also a young woman who was making an impact, and many young women in our society, in African society. You know what I mean? They're limited in many ways. So you have to be able to like be rebellious, to be amongst the men and push and continue pushing. So I said to him, you're wrong. I said, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how things are going to turn out. I don't understand it. I don't know even like why I'm here. I'm here with my daughter. But I believe that I will make it here. I believe that Africa is the future. I believe that when we're here, we can make a better impact. I'm not discouraging people from going. I'm not discouraging you from like, you know, saying that I want to travel and stuff like that. But if you're traveling, also have a purpose, have an agenda. You know, I didn't have an agenda. I was just shipped to the US to study. I just knew that I had to learn, I had to educate myself. But also, I thank God today that God brought me back to Gambia to be able to give back. You can say that I'm less Gambian. No, I believe that I am really a real Gambian, you know, for coming back here and for leaving what I was comfortable. But yeah, I'm just going to tell everybody, when you go to study, think about coming back. Come home.
Come back home, you know. Once you go there, you learned, you made money. You cannot make all the money, but you know, once you make something, come and invest in your country, man, and see what you can do. Because you know, in Ardalahi Wasia, everyone kuneka munadem funeka, we can all go anywhere and establish ourselves, make our money, invest and do whatever. But man, I prefer muneka Gambians. You understand? I prefer it to be some brothers they invest in the country and hang up. You take over things. I think it is better that way, you know, for major industries in the Gambia to be run by Gambians. With that said, I hope you've learned something from this video and I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you do, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more. Peace.